sound pretty boring, huh? Ready, Chris? So, ready, Chris? Okay. South Carolina is so gay. Fun fact, huh? In 2008, however, when those words appeared in London's underground, you'd have thought the end of days was coming. The posters were part of an advertising blitz staged during London's Gay Pride Days to promote gay tourism to the United States. The great state of South Carolina, we being so dependent on tourism and so proud of our reputation for hospitality, we committed a few $1,000s to be included in the advertisements. But when word got back to Columbia, you would have thought Sherman had come back from the dead and was laying siege. That the Palmetto State could be gay, or appear to be supportive of gay rights, or even welcome gay people who might fork over some of the $40 billion a year in the industry, made our legislators quake in their duck boots. Our elected officials took a stand to nix that in the heart of Dixie. Somebody was fired, and politicians were proud to claim that the buck stopping homosexuality stopped here. Of course that was nonsense, trying to believe that gay people didn't exist or were a crisis on our borders. But it wasn't so silly in the world that I live or work in, that of archives or libraries. In fact, the past is not so much another country, it's more of a snooty club needing impressive credentials to get in. For years, the past in Charleston has been the exclusive haunt of dead white men. Over the years, some divergent monuments were created and books published. A few women and African Americans were let into the club, but it still didn't let in queers. When was the last time you saw a monument to a gay cause in the city of Charleston? There were books in our libraries, but they had been published long ago and far away. There were historical texts left over from other eras. But if you wanted something modern, if you wanted to find some manuscript material on local LGBTQ life, you were SOL. Gays apparently lived either in urban places like West Hollywood or New York City. When a student at the College of Charleston wanted to do something on the topic, it was on the QT, on the down low. I'd get a discreet email from a professor, and students would come in whispering. That changed in 2016 when a graduate student named Kimberly Mattern breezed in and in full voice said she wanted to do her thesis on local gay history. It was a watershed moment. Finally, a student naturally assumed that a library and archives that held information on all types of people would also have information on other minorities such as queers. It took some maneuvering, but yay, Kimberly got her thesis and got her degree. And that was my wake-up call, my duh moment, the birth of an idea. I started phone calling and meeting people and taking in every piece of paper I could find on gay history. Example you'll now be seeing on the screen popping up behind me. So material started coming in from attics, basements, living rooms, and computers, all colors of the rainbow. But there was one color that I really wanted. I mean green, I mean money. We put in a grant proposal to the Donnelly Foundation saying that our history was imperiled, and if we did not act fast, we would become extinct. Documents about gay history had been hidden and erased for years. Libraries did not take them because they weren't fit for intellectual consumption, and very few people offered or saved them, for good reasons. Sodomy was a capital crime, punishable by death, longer in South Carolina than in any other state. You could lose your right to vote up into the 1970s. Fortunately, we were founded, and today we have the papers of the Alliance for Full Acceptance, We Are Family, MCC, the first Pride March in 2020, but papers of people too. Here's an intersex person who lived in Charleston in the 1850s. We also have the papers of gay men who were out, who lived here in Charleston in the 1940s, 50s. And we have a few papers as well on Don Langley Hall Simmons, an early transsexual who lived here. We have the papers of social activists like Linda Kettner and Charlie Smith, and we'll get Terry Fox's one day, I think so too. Yeah. All of these materials tell stories, but the most compelling stories are told by people themselves. We have trained oral historians now to interview folks of all ages, genders, and experiences to help capture the granular details of what life was like here in the 50s and 60s and so on. You can learn more about that on the webpage we put up, another one we called The Real Rainbow Row, associated with gay sites of history around the city. We're gathering contemporary stories too. so folks will know what it's like to be young and trans and HIV positive today in this city, what it's like to raise kids in a single-gender household, what it's like to be a black and a minister and queer, and even, we have made progress, what's it like to be young and out and not have a glimmer of idea of gay history. Just a few years ago, our documentation of gay history could have been kept in just a Pandora's box or two, but now we have over 100 linear feet of photos, documents, newsletters, banners, hate mail, diaries, and the like, but there are still many holes and gaps in our history. We need and want more archival materials and more oral histories. So help us spread the word. Linda Kettner challenged us to raise $25,000, and we've done it, thanks to the generosity of gifts large and small. We have to give great thanks as well to Harry McDougall, who gave generously. But we need more contributions of cash and collections to make sure our project keeps on going before our grant funds run out. So despite a late start, we're making progress, so that I think it might be fitting to quote George Orwell before closing. We who control the past control the future. Now that we have elbowed our way into the prestigious precincts of the past, we've proven we have a genealogy, and we can demand not just our place at the table, but on the shelves at the library as well. In local gala parlance, we of the LGBT community, we can prove that we're not come-heres, but we're been-heres. We'll get a statue and historic plaques yet. And with all due apologies, forgive me if I quote from Nikki Haley, or a variation at least. It's a great day to be gay in the South Carolina Lowcountry.